Hey, what's up YouTube? This is Cookie Monster ProForgeRacing bringing you my number one Sandbox double wide racetrack forger, Rogue Shaddo. Rogue Shaddo is an incredible forger. The entire top 10 was hard to decide who went where between numbers 2 and 8, but I was able to make, a list, and I was pretty confident with it. But Rogue Shaddo, I was set at number 1. This is his first map, Backburner, and this is just an incredible map. This is his first map he ever made, and it's just an incredible map. It starts off with a small tiny turn, and then a giant turn, and then another small tiny turn, and then a giant turn, and then this last turn right here. And it's a great map. This map is Cherry Kiss, and this is such a good map. It's so incredibly smooth. This map right here is the 19th most downloaded racetrack of all time, and it has 94,606 downloads. But it's so incredibly smooth. I remember playing Rogue Shaddo's maps and just being mind blown. And his maps are so good. He doesn't really ever throw any scenery in his maps, but they're all just so perfect. You don't even need scenery. The maps themselves are scenery. This map made Bungie favorites along with his map Silhouette and his map Berry Bliss. His map Silhouette, I believe, was in Bungie favorites first, and then Cherry Kiss and Berry Bliss were both in it next. This is the next map, Berry Bliss, which kind of looks like it's the same map, but it's definitely not because all of the turns are in different areas. I never even realized this map. I always, for some reason, thought this map was just a different... I thought it was like a variant of Cherry Kiss because the names were similar, and I remember like just quickly looking at it and thinking it was the same map. But it's a totally different map, and it's just amazing how smooth his maps are. And he didn't make that many maps, but the ones he made are so incredibly smooth. He is just the best racetrack forger. And as you know, I also released a video of his map Backlash that he made in Halo Reach, which is his only Halo Reach map. So at least he came on and made something, and I definitely think he was by far the greatest racetrack forger of all time in Halo 3. He was my favorite racetrack forger of any kind in Halo 3. It's just so amazing. This map is Blissful Mirror. This is a backwards version of Berry Bliss. I mean, this is, Berry Bliss. This is Blissful Mirror, similar to the Pinnacle Mirror map. You'll see that he does this with a few of his maps, actually. But this map is just, it's so good, and it works in both directions because it's just so incredibly smooth. Rogue Shaddo he was just an amazing forger. It was just unbelievable the types of racetracks that he was able to forge. They were so smooth. And I really think he, influenced a lot of people. His maps got, I believe Silhouette was like the 24th or 5th most downloaded racetrack, something like that. It had like 79,000 downloads, I believe. In his map Backburner had 36,000. Berry Bliss had like 40,000 or something like that. But this map Silhouette, this along with Power Plant by Extreme 76X were the first 2 double wide maps I ever had. This is so smooth, and this was the first map I ever had by Rogue Shaddo, and one of the first double wides I ever had. I remember I found this map randomly after finding Power Plant randomly, and then I found someone's file share who had a ton of double wide maps. He had a bunch of Agent Brute 117's maps. Agent Brute 117 made a ton of amazing racetracks in Halo Reach, but they were not they weren't that smooth. They weren't nearly as smooth as these. They were bumpy, and the corners didn't line up as well, but I used to not even notice the difference. I was thinking of putting him in the number 10 spot, and I was going to, and I also thought of KGBXD, who's Jeff now. He's the current owner of Halo Tracks, but I ended up going with X2 Hip is Ripping or VINI's just because of how smooth VINI's maps were. But anyways, this is Chilhouette, and this is the backwards version of Silhouette, and I almost like this version better only because the jump at the start is so cool. All he had to do was put a shield and angle it right, and every time you hit that shield, you perfectly land up on the top part of the map. And I don't know how he got that to work so well, but somehow he did, and it's just so good. This map here is Cherry Twist, which is the backwards or mirrored version of Cherry Kiss, which was his, signature, most downloaded, most famous map. And it's so crazy how well his maps are, they work backwards so perfectly. I just loved Sandbox, double-wide maps. I remember going on YouTube for hours, looking up new maps and new map makers and downloading hundreds and hundreds of maps and trying them out. But I really played hundreds of double-wide Sandbox maps. Hundreds. I had like 4 gamer tags, each with, their 100 files filled with Sandbox maps, and all of them, out of all those maps that I tested, these were the 10 people I liked the best. The 10 people who made the most maps. This map is called the Barbarian, and it is very, very unique. Because I know that you've already seen Tides by X2Hip is Rippin' and Hypernova by SMM and Dream, but this map I'm pretty sure came before Hypernova. No, it definitely did come before both of those maps. Both of those maps were created towards the end of Halo 3 when Reach was coming out. But this map is just, it was one of the first roller coasters to be very, very smooth, unlike, the other roller coaster forgers maps. But it's just so smooth, and it's got a few cool little jumps in it, but especially it's got 2 giant jumps, which are really incredible. This one is the first giant jump, and then you do the second little jump, and then the second giant jump. So there's a little jump and a giant jump, and a little jump and a giant jump. And I love this jump here. It just works perfectly, and I love it. I kind of hit hard there, but I still love it. This next map is called Snookums, and this was the very last double-wide map and the very last racetrack I'm pretty sure he ever made. And I think he released this on Valentine's Day, which is why it's called Snookums, because I think that's like, a pet name people use or whatever. But it's very smooth. I actually didn't like this one quite as much as Cherry Kiss, Berry Bliss, and Silhouette, because those ones just had like very cool looking turns, and I feel like this one was more just like perfect U-turn after perfect U-turn, and it's still an incredible map. And the last turn is more of like a spiral type turn. It's just like the rest of them. I just think we're a little bit more varied, and this one has a few straightaways and stuff. This map's called Conformity, and the description of it is an unartistic take on Snookums, but this map is the same as Snookums, but with a few scenery pieces, so it's pretty much like the same exact thing. But I'd say this one's more artistic in a way. Excuse me. But this one it has a few scenery pieces, so it's kind of more artistic. But he said it's a less artistic version, so I'm not exactly sure what he means by that. But it's pretty much the exact same map as Snookums, called Conformity. But as I said, it's just a very, very smooth map. It's just kind of got long straightaways and then perfect U-turn, straightaway, perfect U-turn, as opposed to how he used to do it, where he would just make those like crazy, crazy turns. But it's still a great map. And this last map, Sandy Slopes V2, is the last Sandbox map he ever made. It's not a racetrack, but it's a rocket race map, or a rally map, I guess. But there really, really weren't very many custom-made rocket race maps out there, so this was pretty cool. It's just got, smooth features and everything. But if there's any way you can download his Halo 3 maps, you should try to. They are so incredible, and if you ever get back into Halo 3, you gotta try every single map he's ever made. They're so incredible. He also made a series of Tremors and maps, but Gulch Trevor's maps, but I'm not exactly sure what that is. Anyways, thank you guys very much for watching. I think Rogue Shaddo is the greatest racetrack forger of all of Halo 3.